It's to 5 o'clock. Do you give money to charity if you know that it'll be spent abroad? Or do you believe that charity begins and perhaps should stay at home? Charities that do work in the poorest place on earth say they're finding it increasingly difficult to raise money. In fact, nearly half of the public say they won't give to charities that operate overseas. Paul Volzenlogel is from a charity called Harpenden Spotlight on Africa, and they work in parts of Uganda. Paul, welcome to the programme. Thank you for joining us this evening. Tell us about your charity. What is it you do exactly?
Well, Harpenden Spotlight on Africa is working at the moment in a very rural area just outside Mbale in Uganda, where we're focusing on bringing some desperately needed aid to people who are actually the poorest of the poor. They've settled in a very rural area where there's no infrastructure, no support, precious little water, precious little schooling, precious little of anything really. And what we're trying to do is to bring them these benefits.
So why do you do? I mean, what's Harpenden's connection with Uganda?
Harpenden had a connection with the area that we're working with through a church, actually. The pastor of the church came to the UK for a conference and just happened to be in Harpenden, met the church people in Harpenden, and the link was made there.
I mean, Paul, whenever we hear these stories of what life is like for some people in some of these poorest parts of the world, of course, you are moved. It is incredibly distressing sometimes to hear what the kind of lives people are having to lead. But do you think you're actually making a difference, or are you just putting a sticking plaster on a much greater problem?
No, I think that's not true at all. I mean, it could be said of a number of organisations that is happening. However, what we do is we work right at the community level with the people who are desperately in need, and we provide them with tangible benefits, which will last. And for every project that we put in, we also try to generate an income-generating project that will then support it subsequently.
I know people listening will be thinking, well, okay, fine, laudable projects help people in that part of Africa, but how much of the money that you raise actually goes to them? Because running any kind of charity is expensive.
Well, that's true. There, of course, are expenses associated with running a charity, but the figures for Harpenden Spotlight on Africa, considerably less than 10% of the money that was given to us last year was spent on administration. So well over 90 pence of every pound that was given to us went to the charity, went to the people on the ground.
Okay, so it's a good ratio. So how do you raise your money?
A number of ways. We have a number of friends who contribute to us on a monthly basis, which is extremely generous and good for them to do. We make applications to charitable trusts and charitable foundations, and we're trying to make connections with local companies who might want to partner with us and help us to deliver the projects.
So how are you finding it? And this report suggests that people are still very willing, and people in Britain are very generous, very willing to donate money when it comes to a charity that operates in Britain. Mention the word foreign, and all of a sudden, the kind of eyes glaze over and thinking, no, I'm not doing that.
Yes, I think that's true, and I think it largely comes because there is this belief that the money will be siphoned off by local governments or other organisations or other people, which is why we deliver our projects directly ourselves, so that we know that the money that our donors generously give to us goes exactly where it's supposed to.
I've got a huge number of texts this afternoon saying, yeah, but if you give me money for, and they've mentioned Africa, the listeners, if you give money to Africa, surely that money's lost in terms of backhanders and people siphoning off for nefarious needs. The money never gets to the people that really need it.
Well, it does. I mean, we have our own contacts on the ground in Africa who look after the funds that we give them, and they contract with local contractors to provide the facilities, and they hold their feet to the fire and make sure that they actually deliver what they said that they would deliver at the price they said they would deliver it.
Have you encountered corruption?
Inevitably, yes. It's always the case that in a nation like that there will be a degree of corruption.
Which is almost endemic. But how do you deal with that?
Well, you try to put in as many procedures and protocols as you can to make sure that it just doesn't happen. where you discover that it is happening, then you take steps to make sure that it's eradicated.
You'll appreciate, Paul, that a lot of my listeners tonight are thinking, well, no, they're agreeing with this survey. Money should be given to British charities. They're less forthcoming when it comes to foreign charities. Just you've got a direct line to the listeners now. Just tell them why it's so important. What are the benefits you've seen, the real benefits that make you think, well, actually, we are making a real difference?
It's very true that we are. And at the end of the day, these are people that we are dealing with in Africa. Just because they're in Africa doesn't make them less people. They are still people. And the benefits that we have delivered, where there is no water, we have put in boreholes, and people now have clean water to drink. That has lots of benefits, apart from the obvious one of having the clean water. It means that the children who are often used to go and fetch water from miles and miles away now don't. They now have the time to go to school. And it brings with it benefits for health, where we've put in community health workers. They are now working with the water to be able to bring health benefits to the local population.
But is Uganda, for example, the area you work in, is it such a broken society, so devoid of any kind of infrastructure, that people are literally dying for lack of water?
In the area we're working in, yes, that's true, and there are plenty of parts of Africa where that is absolutely true.
But will there ever be a time, do you think, Paul, where the Africans, the people of Uganda, for example, will be able to sustain themselves? They won't need to rely on a constant stream of foreign aid.
Well, that's exactly why we try to put in income-generating projects to follow the infrastructure that we put in, so that they will be able to support themselves.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, Paul. If people want to know more about your charity, where can they contact you?
They can email me at enquiries@hsoa.org.uk. They can find us on Facebook. They can follow us on Twitter.
Paul, thank you. Paul Volzenlogel from a charity called Harpenden Spotlight on Africa, which is working in parts of Uganda. You've heard Paul's conversation. I know lots of you have a view on this. What is your take on this? Put your voice on the radio. Pick up the phone, 08459 455 555. Some of the charities that do work in the poorest place on earth say they're finding it really difficult to get money, to raise money. You're still giving to charities, but it seems the mere mention of the word overseas aid, overseas charity, and people are turning off.